All right, let's dive right into this explainer on Project Bantay Bayan, or PBB for short. We're going to see exactly how communities can actually survive, and honestly even thrive, when all the screens go totally blank. Today we're looking at this amazing piece of Philippine-built technology that literally rethinks how digital infrastructure is supposed to act in a crisis. We always just assume the internet will be there for us. But what if we built a resilient system specifically for those terrifying moments when it isn't?
Section 1. When the internet fails. So let's take a look at a massive vulnerability in our modern digital lives.
Picture this for a second. A severe storm hits your town. The power completely cuts out, cell towers are wrecked, and your mobile data drops to absolutely zero. The roads outside? Probably flooded, meaning physical help is hours, maybe days away. In that exact moment, how do you call for help? How does the local clinic even pull up patient data? The scary reality is most of our modern emergency systems totally crash in this scenario just because they completely rely on a centralized cloud connection to work.
And that brings up a really sharp contrast. On one hand, you've got these fragile, internet-dependent cloud apps. On the other, the resilient, always-on needs of a community in crisis. Look, cloud systems are great when the skies are blue and the fiber optic cables are humming. But your town's need for coordination, communication, and medical triage, that doesn't just vanish when the internet goes down. Actually, the need skyrockets. And that massive gap? That is exactly what Project Bantay Bayan set out to fix.
Section 2. The offline-first solution. This brings us to a totally revolutionary way to think about local infrastructure.
So instead of clinging to the cloud, PBB is an offline-first community resilience platform that operates right there on the ground. Think of it as a local node-first model. To put it simply, a community, like a barangay in the Philippines, hosts its very own digital hub right in the neighborhood. It runs all the essential apps on a local Wi-Fi network. That means even if the town is 100% physically and digitally cut off from the rest of the planet, the local network stays alive and kicking. It's basically a digital town hall that never closes its doors. It becomes your community's digital front desk. Anyone can connect to this local Wi-Fi. And boom, they instantly have access to emergency reporting tools, local maps, official announcements, all sitting on servers right in their own backyard.
Section 3. Everyday community value. Now, you might be wondering, how do you actually get people to use this when they need it most? Because here's the thing, hardware and software are awesome, but human behavior? That's the real puzzle. If citizens only open an app during a high-stress life-or-death crisis, they're gonna freeze. They won't know how to use it. That is a massive flaw with traditional emergency-only software. I mean, if the floodwaters are literally rising around your ankles, you do not want to be figuring out a new interface. We all forget our passwords when we panic anyway, right? So PBB solves this by turning emergency infrastructure into daily, everyday infrastructure.
To build that muscle memory, everyday people use PVP on normal days without using a single drop of mobile data. You've got folks like Maria, checking the portal for her kid's vaccination schedule, or Ryan, a student using the local network to grab offline learning materials and library references because maybe his house has limited data. People are even using the local chat to just say hi to neighbors. They're organically building a habit.
And there's a great quote that hits the nail on the head here. PBB earns its value by being useful before an emergency, reliable during an emergency, and still relevant after the emergency. That daily use? It's the secret sauce. Because Maria and Ryan were on the system on a random sunny Tuesday, they know exactly what to do when a super typhoon hits on Friday. This system has already earned their trust.
Section 4. Emergency Response in Action. Let's look at how this daily portal suddenly transforms into a full-blown command center.
Even when it's entirely offline, the system shifts gears flawlessly. A citizen can hop on the PBB hotline app over the local network to report a downed power line or call for medical help. Local operators get that alert instantly. They can dispatch rescue teams using cached local maps while the command center watches the whole thing unfold on a real-time dashboard. They're generating real-time status updates, site reps, and running evacuation centers, completely untethered from the outside internet.
Section 5. Syncing upstream for support. Okay, but what happens when a local disaster is just too big, and the barangay desperately needs outside help?
A local network is incredibly powerful, but eventually you need to call in the cavalry. This is where the absolute magic of store and forward technology comes in. The developers built a service called Relay, purposely designed for environments where the internet isn't just a bit slow, it's aggressively spotty. Let's walk through this timeline together. because it is super clever. The internet completely drops, but the local PBB network stays up. All through the storm, the system is patiently collecting and storing all those distress signals and reports right in its local database. Then, maybe hours later, a cell tower flickers back to life for just a second. In that exact fraction of a moment, Relay automatically syncs all that packaged data upstream to the city and provincial commands. No one has to sit there frantically mashing the send button over and over. The infrastructure literally does the heavy lifting the second the door cracks open.
Section 6. True Community Resilience. Let's zoom out a bit and look at the big picture here.
This technology is fundamentally redefining what it means to be a resilient community. By taking this super complex software and turning it into an everyday human-centric tool, PBB ensures a community is never truly cut off. It proves that our digital lives don't have to break just because the broader power grid does. It gives the smallest, most local units of government the power to handle their own data, their own dispatching, and their own safety, while still maintaining the ability to instantly sync with the outside world the second it's possible.
So I want to leave you with this final thought. We lean so heavily on the cloud for everything, from chatting with friends to calling an ambulance. So, when the storm hits and the screens inevitably go blank, is your community's digital front desk ready to open? Learning about systems like Project Bantay Bayan shows us that a resilient, offline-capable future isn't just some science fiction concept, it's already here. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and definitely take a moment to think about how your own neighborhood handles the digital dark.